Hey folks, welcome back to Game Review. Today I'm gonna break down the full story of Hollow Knight to get you hyped for Hollow Knight Silksong. Before we dive in, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and share this with anyone who's about to step into Hallownest. Enjoy the ride. The story starts deep under the earth, in a once great kingdom called Hallownest. It used to be a thriving underground paradise, full of life, cities, and bizarre forests. It was ruled by a mysterious figure known as the Pale King, an ancient being who had the power to grant awareness and reason. Using that power, he turned simple bugs into sentient creatures and helped them build a huge civilization. I don't want to name drop too much yet, but people started following him. However, behind all the glory the Pale King brought, there was an older being waiting for the right moment to reclaim its throne. A presence the kingdom hadn't fully understood. The bugs originally lived simple lives, guided by something called the Radiance. Think of it as a glowing moth god that enters minds through dreams and controls them. To those early bugs, the Radiance was basically a god. When the Pale King showed up, he used his influence to give the bugs free will and independent thought. Eventually, they stopped depending on the Radiance. They forgot it completely. But Radiance didn't just disappear or quietly fade away. It turned into wrath, a terrible plague. This moth dust infection is essentially a yellow, mind-controlling disease that spreads across the kingdom, erasing will and turning once normal creatures into violent husks. The Pale King realized the Radiance was catastrophic and not something you could just kill, so he searched for a way to contain it. He discovered a strange ancient substance, the Void, a soulless black matter found in the depths beneath the kingdom. The Pale King realized the Void could act as a prison for the Radiance. With help from his wife, the White Lady, they created a kind of army, vessels. These vessels were empty shells, heartless, emotionless little beings built to contain the Radiance. After countless experiments, they created thousands and cast them into the deep abyss. From all those attempts, one was chosen as the successful vessel, the Hollow Knight. The White Lady, a half-plant, half-being creature, was the mother of those vessels. Even though she helped make emotionless shells, she still held maternal feelings for them. This is where the story gets really sad. Now we jump to the Pale King's child, Hornet, who will play as in Silksong. Hornet was born from a union between the Pale King and the Spider Queen, so she's half royal, half spider. Her fate becomes central later on. To make doubly sure the Radiance stayed sealed inside the Hollow Knight, the Pale King enlisted three great figures known as the Dreamers: Monomon the Teacher, Lurian the Watcher, and Hera the Beast, the Spider Queen, Hornet's mother. They sacrificed themselves and entered an eternal dream to form a powerful seal that prevents anyone from reaching the Radiance. The king knew it wouldn't be easy to keep the Radiance trapped. After many failed attempts to create a proper vessel, finally the chosen Hollow Knight, the silent, chained vessel, was born. Tragically, the love the king showed his child couldn't spare it from a terrible destiny. The Hollow Knight was placed in a grand temple under the City of Tears, bound in chains as a living prison. He wasn't a king or a hero, just a vessel, forever containing the infection. Years passed. The Hollow Knight fought the infection inside, trying daily to hold back the light that wanted to consume him. But the king's plan had one big flaw. The Hollow Knight wasn't completely empty. Some remnants of feeling and humanity remained. That sliver of something was enough for Radiance to keep weakening the seal. Radiance didn't die quietly. It stayed active in the dream world and found a way to spread its curse again. Meanwhile, for reasons only the Pale King likely knows, the Hollow Knight somehow ended up leaving the abyss. Or rather, a small vessel, the one we play as, survived and wandered the surface, lost and forgotten. Years of wandering later, when the seal started to fail, that little vessel returned to Hallownest to try and fix what his big brother couldn't. And that's where your hero's journey begins. You explore the shattered kingdom, uncover truths, and meet a crazy cast of characters. Some will stomp you flat, others will respect you after you beat them, some will train you, and some will straight up ruin your day if you annoy them. You'll meet legends and weirdos, the Pestilent, a warrior of 7 realms, and all sorts of tragic, goofy, and dangerous folks. Be careful, a lot of them hit hard. The most important figure you'll meet is Hornet, your sister figure who fights you twice and forces you to reckon with what the Pale King did. At some point, you'll collect a key that opens deeper layers, revealing that the Hollow Knight wasn't alone. There were many siblings, all lost to the abyss, their souls devoured by the Void. To move forward, you need to unite 2 soul fragments to reconstruct the king's soul. The first piece you get from the White Lady, but the second piece is a brutal soul-wrenching challenge, a gauntlet of suffering you might wish you'd never joined. The king seems almost cruel in making you endure this agony to learn the truth. Once you collect everything and walk into the abyss, the king's soul begins to fracture and transform into something far greater, the Void Heart. In that moment, the Hollow Knight stops being a lost little vessel and becomes a symbol for all the lost vessels before him, the Void itself. Even the siblings who used to attack you now become part of that void. The Hollow Knight gains terrifying power. This scene is one of those legendary moments in gaming. The music swells, the words appear, and you feel the weight of destiny. The small vessel was meant to be the Hollow Knight all along. Hornet even tells you straight up that you're the closest to what should have been, because your brother, the original chosen vessel, still had emotions inside. If the king had chosen the small vessel from the start, maybe Hallownest wouldn't have ended up like this. Why the king chose wrong? We don't fully know. Maybe it was love, maybe fate. Either way, to break the seal, you have to enter the dreams of the three dreamers, beat them, and then confront the truth. After you clear the dreamers, you reach the place where your brother is chained. A massive, tragic creature trapped in endless pain. The fight that follows is heavy. Every strike you land feels like it's trying to help him, not just hurt him. One of the most emotional moments is when the Hollow Knight grabs his weapon and strikes himself, weakening himself under the changing, heart-wrenching music. It's cinematic and historic. After that battle, Hornet gives you one more push. Through her, you can enter the dream world and finally face the Radiance in its full power. The Void will lend you strength, and with help, you'll either defeat Radiance or witness an ending that's bittersweet and brutal. The fight is unforgettable. You see your lost siblings, your allies, the broken kingdom. It all hits you. In the end, there's no neat, happy closure. Most endings are tragic in one way or another. The siblings remain trapped, the Hollow Knight becomes a new vessel for the Void, and Hornet is sealed away. In some endings, everything looks restored, but it's a hollow restoration. Hollow Knight teaches heavy lessons: sacrifice, hope, how tiny mistakes can explode into massive consequences, and how sometimes ignorance is a strange blessing over painful awareness. This game is an absolute masterpiece. Story, music, gameplay, Metroidvania exploration, the mystery, the atmosphere. It's all there. That was my condensed run-through of Hollow Knight's story to get you ready for Silksong. There's way more lore and secrets I didn't even touch, and honestly, that's part of the magic. Discovering them yourself. Alright folks, that's the full story, short and sweet. If you want a deeper dive into the characters I barely mentioned, or a breakdown of the endings and theories, say the word and I'll make another video. And yes, Silksong should answer a lot of the stuff we didn't fully get here. Thanks for watching Game.Review. If you liked this, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. What ending do you think is the true one? See you in the next video, and enjoy Silksong when it drops.